to anybody watching. I hope you feel really part of this one now. We've had a beautiful time of worship here this morning. So even better, if you can be here, to actually be here and worship with us.
Hey, hi everyone, I'm Fraser. We're doing an all-in service today. I'm the children's pastor, and I like having this whole church be kids' church when I'm speaking. So can I have all of the kids come up the front? There are lollies in payment. Okay. If you weren't here for my last sermon, you might not know what happens when I take over, but it's a bit different from a normal sermon. There will be questions, and if you give a decent answer, or if you ask a decent question, I will bang a lolly at you. Okay, so if I can have at least one child up here, preferably. Seek, I know you guys are in today as well, you can come up. If you want lollies, the best place to be is within arm's reach of me, okay? Come on. You guys did this last time. It's fine. You get lots of lollies. Okay. Now, for the adult children amongst us, and for the children as well, I've got some little worksheets you can work on if you want. And if you want a little platform to write on or colour on, these are at the front, along with pens and Bibles if you want them. Okay, grab a seat, guys. Grab a seat. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you do like a hug or anything. Just grab a seat. We've got some seats over here as well, and you can use the cushions as seats if you want as well. Okay. Cool. So, a little bit about me. I actually converted when I was 18, so I skipped the whole kids' church thing in my day. So I'm just been winging it this entire time. But yeah, over the my last 10 years of being a Christian, I worked as a young adult pastor and a children's pastor. And I've also been a friend to a lot of people who have left the church or left Christianity. And I've known, before I became a Christian, most of my friends were non-Christian. And I've had conversations with them about, hey, this Christianity thing, and I've heard from them why they haven't joined and things like that. I've also had a long running interest in the bigger questions, and I frequently listen to common atheist arguments, especially on YouTube. I like listening to them. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. Do you guys know what an atheist is? Yeah? You do?
Someone doesn't believe in anything.
In anything? No, they don't brush their teeth because they don't believe in brushing their teeth. They don't believe in God?
Any God.
Any God, yep. Atheist, right? So theist means believes in a deity, right? And a at the front means it's like not. Okay, so atheist, not, they don't believe in a God. Our God, any other one. So they're kind of like us, not that different, because I don't believe in thousands of different gods that have people have made up over time. But I just believe in one. The difference is they don't believe in that one either. Okay? So they're not crazy, they're not these strange mystical beings. They're just people who don't believe in any gods. All this is meant that I actually have a decent understanding of why people leave Christianity or don't join in the first place. So I want to share a bit of my knowledge, what I've learned, and see if they can be helpful for you or for your children. As far as I can tell, there's sort of three big categories of challenges or barriers that contribute to people leaving the church. Obviously, these aren't all-inclusive, but I think they're broad enough to let me get away with it. So, I've broken these down into intellectual barriers, or barriers of the mind, logic, rationality, things like that. Emotional barriers, barriers of the heart, of what is right and wrong, ethics, stuff like that. And kingdom barriers, which is a more complicated one I'll get into on week 3. I think these categories can be boiled down to 3 big questions. Is God real? And am I foolish for believing in him? Is God good? And should I love him? And is the church good? And should I be involved in it? Each of those kind of maps onto one of those categories. These are really big questions, and I think they deserve answering well. That's why we're doing it as a series. Today, we're going to look at the first question. Is God real? And am I foolish for believing in him? How do we understand the world? What method do we use to figure out things about our world? Oren?
God created it.
God created it? Yeah, that's something we've been told. But how do we find out what's true about the world? Yeah, Jared?
Bible.
The Bible, yeah, we can go to the Bible. But the Bible has some things in it that are like poetry and metaphors. So they're not great for telling out what's real, right? It doesn't tell us about the ground or anything like that. Yeah?
Genesis?
Genesis, maybe. That tells us the story of...
How the world was created.
Yeah, creation, yeah. Alice? Our brains, yeah. What do we do with our brains? We do a big thing. We do a big thing. Who are the people that we entrust to do big thinkings about the world? Scientists, that's right. We use science to discover things about the world. Does anyone know what science actually is? It's a word that gets used a lot, but does anyone know what it actually is? Ruby? No, so not really. It's all about, yeah. Alice? Finding out about the world? How do we use science to find out about the world? What makes something science rather than just coming up with something? Experiments. Yeah, was that what Al was going to say?
It's a method.
Method, yep. So it's called the scientific method. So something is science if it was discovered using the scientific method. Anyone know what's involved in the scientific method? What you actually have to do to be doing science? Yeah?
Experiment?
Yeah, you do an experiment. How do you start off with an experiment?
Create a hypothesis.
Yeah, you create a hypothesis.
And have a control and test it. And
Yeah. So that's different ways of doing science, yeah. So at the most basic level, the scientific method. I feel like I owe someone a lolly. Who needs a lolly? That's great. I know you didn't answer a question. Right, Al? They will come back and his congregation will be missing eyes and have bruises and be holes in the back of the wall. Okay, there's plenty of more questions you guys can answer. But at the most basic level, science is coming up with a hypothesis and then trying to disprove it.
test it.
And test it, using testing and using experiments, okay? So who can give me an example of a hypothesis we can test today, preferably?
Gravity.
Right. Gravity, okay, gravity. Okay, so when you come up with a hypothesis... Oh yeah. Gotta remind me, I'm doing multiple things up here. Okay, so a hypothesis we could come up with is there gravity in this room?
Yes.
Yes. How? Prove it to me. How are you going to test it? Oh, you could jump. So can I have a volunteer? Aaron, come on up. Okay. Test gravity. Whoa! Wasn't that easy? That was some science. So, we came up with a hypothesis and then we tested it. That's all science is, okay? As you have bigger questions, more complicated hypotheses, you need more advanced experiments. But at its basic level, it's just coming up with something and then testing it, okay? Nice and simple. So I'm something of a scientist myself. Someone will get that reference, hopefully. Okay, and this is some of the science I do. I don't get to take many photos of the science I do because I'm normally in controlled labs where you can't get your phone out because I deal with nasty viruses and mutated bacteria. But what? Anyone? Any guesses of what you're looking at right there? Aaron? Germs? Yeah. What am I looking at them through? Microscope. So these are E. coli, right? They live in your tummy. And I was doing a hygiene experiment. It's such a silly experiment, but it haunts me to this day. Basically, I was looking at how many ply of toilet paper you need before bacteria on your bum gets on your hands. And unfortunately, I didn't use my bum in this experiment, but unfortunately, you need 5 ply. Yeah, you need 5. So those people who fold it over 20 times, you're doing the Lord's work. So you need 5 ply. And we also discovered something else horrible, was that most of my lab doesn't know how to wash their hands. Right, so wash your hands, kids. Dettol, with bleach, not with bleach. Okay. So if we use science to discover things about our world, to test if they are true, how might we use a bit of science to find out if God exists? Okay. So we just use it to figure out if gravity exists in this room. Let's find out if God exists. What's this? You guys see it? It's got a laser. Yeah, a laser. Who answered the laser? Who mumbled it under their breath the loudest?
We're doing well in this department.
Sharing is caring. if you get all the answers. Okay. It's a laser. What is a laser made out of? Light. Yep, lasers are made out of light. How fast does light go? Yeah? Derek? Really, really fast? Yeah, that's close enough. We'll take that. Yeah, it travels at the speed of light. Do you anyone know why we just call it the speed of light? Because it's just a really, really long number. If you want to say it out loud. I don't even know what it is. Yeah. I didn't ask. Stop showing off. I know. So if anyone wants to talk to an actual rocket scientist, we have a rocket engineer in the building. No, he is. That's what he is. Okay. Okay, does anyone know how long it would take if I decided to do this sermon from the moon, and I was trying to point at the slide here, from the moon with my laser pointer? How long it would take the laser to reach the slide? Dan?
8 minutes.
8 minutes.
8 minutes.
No, not 8 minutes. Way too long. Yeah?
20
That's
minutes.
the sun.
20 minutes. No, that's too long. Too long.
6 minutes.
No, less.
3 seconds.
Less than 3.
1 minute.
Less than 2.
1 second.
Well, just over. It's 1.3 seconds. According to the Google. I didn't measure it myself. So if I press the button for the laser on the moon, you guys wouldn't see it here till 1 second later. Okay? So that's not that long. Moon's pretty far away, but the light's going that fast. How long would it take if I decided to go for a holiday on Mars, and I took my nice Polaroid camera, had flash on it, high quality one, and I decided to take a picture of the Earth from Mars to show everyone back home when I got back? How long would it take you guys here to see the flash if you were looking? Alright. No, not 2 seconds. It's way, way, way further away.
16 seconds.
16 seconds.
3 minutes.
Or more than 3 minutes.
5 minutes.
Or more than 5. You're getting close though.
20 minutes.
20, less than 20.
10.
15.
10 minutes.
15.
7.
Just under 15. So it's
14. 14.
13 minutes. 13 minutes. You get fight to the death over that one. It'll take 13 minutes for you to see the flash here. So if I was sitting on Earth with my telescope, looking up, I'd see the flash, and if I was looking with a really high power telescope, I would see you could see me taking the picture, right? But because it took 13 minutes for the light to get to Earth, I could have already left and gone and got a coffee or something, and you guys would still just be seeing me taking the photo. What does that mean? What are you looking at?
We're looking at the past.
That's right, you're looking back in time to something that happened in the past. So that's really important because it means if we look at light, or if we look at radio waves, which travel at the same speed as light, you can, if you look at something far enough away, you can look into the past, okay? Okay, keep that in mind. Okay. We'll see if YouTube will play an ad. Hopefully not, I think I already did it. What's that?
No signal.
Static?
No signal.
Static, no signal? Yeah. Does any... White noise. Does anyone know what makes that on your TV? Yeah?
Chord.
A what?
A chord.
A chord? A background radio?
Background radio.
This is a lot more fun when you don't have an actual rocket scientist. No, it's not sound waves. Sound waves. But you know the actual name of it though. That causes us. Yeah, cosmic background radiation, okay? So, cosmic background radiation is every you turn your radio on, you turn your TV on, you will hear it. And it was created at the Big Bang. Big Bang. What's the Big Bang, guys?
The beginning of the world.
The beginning of the universe,
Big
yeah?
Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory, the TV show, yeah?
And everything with the, everything was being.
But everyone's created at the start?
And made and like
Yeah.
put everything together like.
Yeah, so Big Bang. It's in the name. Nice. Awesome. Well done. Please, sir, can I have some more? So, yes. The Big Bang is our best understanding, scientifically speaking, of how the universe was created, okay? You've got antimatter and matter, they combine, turn into energy, and you get a really big bang. Something, let there be light, okay? That's that. Okay. But one thing, looking back through time and looking at this background radiation, you can actually tell what happened just after the Big Bang by doing the same thing we've done by looking at Mars and looking at the flash, okay? Looking back in time at that information. And one thing scientists have learned about this time is that everything seems to have to be very finely tuned for everything to work out. Everything has to be just right. Not too much antimatter, just the right amount of gravity, and a whole bunch of other physical constants of the universe have to be just right, otherwise it doesn't work and you don't end up with the universe afterwards. Do you guys know a story where something had to be just right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Goldilocks and 3 Bears.
Goldilocks and the 3 Bears, right? What was in Goldilocks and the 3 Bears? What had to be just right?
The porridge and the chairs and the
Oh, I
beds.
didn't ask you. You've already got a small fortune. I'm going to ask you a question. Hey, what did it have to be right?
The beds, orange.
Yeah. The porridge had to be not too...
The porridge had to not be too hot and not be too cold.
Yeah, it just had to be just right. And it's kind of like that. If there was if the gravity was just a bit lower, or the bang was just a bit bigger, all the matter in the universe would have been blasted so far apart that we would never get suns. And suns are really important because they are what create all the larger atoms that we're made out of, okay? So you need suns. You wouldn't get that, no suns, no life, okay? So there was just a bit more antimatter, no matter, or matter's just blasted everywhere. You don't have enough, it's too cold. And the universe collapses in on itself, on its own gravity, and you just get a big black hole instead. Okay, so there's no time for life to exist. It has to be just right for the universe to exist as we know it today. Okay? Just like the porridge. So Stephen Hawking, a scientist, observed that the laws of science, as we know them at present, contain many fundamental numbers, like the size of the electric charge of the electron and the ratio of the masses of the proton and the electron. These are the things that make up the atoms that make up us. Okay? The remarkable fact is that the value of these numbers seem to be very finely adjusted to make possible the development of life. Okay? And we see that in the Big Bang, and we see that through biology, DNA, everything like that. Everything's really, really, really finely tuned that if you change even one small thing, everything just falls apart and you don't get life. Okay? So why was everything perfect? Okay? There has to be a reason why it was perfect. What's your guess, Sarah?
God made it like that.
Yeah, God made it like that. Yep, there's 3 logical possibilities, okay? Number 1. There are an infinite number of universes, and ours just happen to have the right factors to succeed. Okay? We just have to be in the good one. Okay? There's an infinite number, lots of them didn't work, this one just happened to. Okay? Number 2, there is one universe, and we just got really, really, really lucky. Okay? And number 3, there is an intelligent creator who set everything up to be just right. Okay? That's Oren's pick. That's what Oren's voting for. It's a good vote. So thinking like scientists, we need to look at the evidence for each of these. So while multiverse ideas are really fun for Marvel movies and stuff like that, unfortunately there is absolutely zero evidence for multiverses. So we can strike one off our list, nice and easy, as boring as it is. No multiverses for you. Okay? How about number 2, that we just got really, really lucky. We're in just got perfect porridge first time, didn't need any more tries. What are the chances of that? Well, what is the chance of rolling a 6 on a 6-sided dice, guys? 30%.
No,
Wow.
100%.
Play Yahtzee with you. Ruby? 20%? 10%? In between 20 and 10?
35.
Not 30.
65.
65, okay. This isn't an auction, guys. It's supposed to be going down.
65.
15 is the closest I've had so far.
16.
16, that's right. So it's 16.8% of rolling a 6-sided die and getting a 6. Okay. You want to say 16.5? Okay, I believe you. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's 1 in 6, 16%. And what are the chances that all the universe's settings were just randomly correct at the beginning of time? I have no idea. I spent hours trying to find that out, and no one has any clue. There's just too many factors to consider. And I think the important thing is if you look at any one of those factors, it really could have been anything. gravity, the gravitational constant, speed of light, we have no reason to believe that these had to be those numbers. They could have been something else. And so when you take that into account, it really looks like the chance that everything was just right is super, 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 super tiny. Nearly infinitely small. 0.000000001%. Roll a six-sided die 1,000 times and they're all sixes type of deal. Okay? So if option 1 has no evidence, and option number 2 is super unlikely, and one of the options has to be true, because there's not really any other way it could be, it means it's pretty likely that option number 3 is the right pick if there's any evidence to support it. Okay? And luckily there is evidence to support an intelligent creator. Okay? This means that the most likely cause for this finely tuned universe that allows life is an all-powerful, intelligent creator who set it up that way so that life could occur. Now this doesn't necessarily mean that our God is real, maybe it was a different one, we don't know. Just that a powerful, intelligent creator is probably real. And if the only other option is infinitely small likelihood, the only other option is quite likely. Okay. So, let's look at the evidence for why our specific God might exist. Okay? We'll go from there. Did Jesus exist? It's a pretty good place to start. We are Christians. I already know your answer. Yeah. We're Christians, followers of Jesus Christ. He's a pretty big deal in our faith, so it's probably a good place to start is, does Jesus exist? And thankfully, you've already had that answer, thank you. You guys are beating me to it. Yes, Jesus did exist. No serious academic argues that Jesus didn't exist. There's just too much evidence for his existence. You can go to Israel today and go and visit the places he was in, and there are hundreds of accounts. Yeah, Oren, what do you got?
Didn't the disciples, it's another reason, didn't the disciples write in the caves like they saw Jesus and like that?
Yeah, so we have the gospel accounts from the disciples, yeah, that's absolutely right. But we also have hundreds of other accounts of people who don't like Jesus, didn't like Christians, and had no reason to tell the truth about us. But they were still talking about Jesus being crucified, dying, buried, and some of them talk about how Christians were all acting like he was resurrected, okay? So yeah, Jesus is definitely real. This is the Garden of Gethsemane. You can go there today, walk down the same area that Jesus did, okay? Heaps of evidence for his existence. But what about the rest of God's story? Jesus is just a small, important part of it, but there's thousands of other pages that don't even mention Jesus, okay? What about the rest of them? You guys know what writing this is?
Egyptian.
No, it's Hebrew. What's the famous thing about Egyptian? I think something back here. Yeah, start handing out safety glasses at my servants. Yeah, Hebrew. Someone said hieroglyphics. What is the Egyptian? An Egyptian, I know having pictures, right? The hieroglyphics. So that's how you can tell if it's Egyptian. They have they have like animals and stuff like that, yeah? So the story of God's interaction with humanity is recorded in the Bible. And so is the Bible reliable, or is it just a bunch of stories? So some of the stories in the Bible are exactly that. They're stories, right? They're like our Goldilocks story and stuff like that. They are there to teach us something about the world and help us to understand something. They're not necessarily historical record. But there's also many parts of the Bible that are meant to be historical accounts. It's recording of what happened, where it happened, when it happened, stuff like that. So I'll just talk about one example. Does anyone know what this is? You're really quick.
Apollo 7.
Yeah, this is my sand pit. Let's go. No, not Jesus. Jesus wasn't involved in this story. Oh, someone's been eating their Wheaties. And his wife bats the candy away. Love that. Okay, yeah. So if you didn't hear it, that is the ancient city, or the ruins of the ancient city of Jericho. It's called the Tell of Jericho, T-E-L. Tell is the word for these mounds, right?
I broke down that wall.
You've ridden down that wall?
No, that's a Josh.
Oh, Josh went down that wall? Oh, Joshua, we've done that one. Oh, that Joshua. Okay. Yeah, you are Josh. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's going to advance for me. Yes. Joshua broke down the wall with God's help. Yep. What happened in the story of Jericho, guys?
They
Let me go
They
here.
marched around the city 7 times.
Yeah.
They blowing their trumpets and stuff, and then the walls came.
Came tumbling down. Yeah. Yeah. Any other details to add, guys?
On the seventh day, they were like, I think like they were like shouting all the 6 days, but on the seventh day, I think they used trumpets.
Yeah, there's trumpets. Yeah.
Something with this woman who lived in the walls, and then they came and saved her.
Yep. Yep. So she let the spies in. Yeah. Anyone know her name? Rahab, that's right.
Rahab.
Yep, so Rahab was one of the good women of Jericho, and she was helped the Israelites, and then the Israelites helped her. Yep.
What the scientists found out is that when the Lord said to march around and they would actually step over into the city, actually the walls, when they unearthed it and started digging and discovered it.
Oh, no spoilers, no spoilers. Don't steal my point, please. No, there's a couple other details. So, God instructs them, or the angel instructs them, go around it 7 times. On the 7th day, the walls will fall down, go up into the city, burn it, and do not take any of the anointed things. Okay, so the anointed things is from the yearly sacrifice. They would put the sacrificial animal on, they would burn it, and it would be anointed. So what the angel was saying is, don't touch anything in the city. They're considered to be sacrificial artifacts. Okay, so they're being given to God. Okay, so people come along to this site and they start digging, and lo and behold, what do they find? They find the walls have fallen outwards. That would have enabled the Israelites to run straight up into the city, and they all the walls, all the way around, fell down at, looks like, roughly the same time, which is weird. That doesn't happen in a siege. Normally you just knock down one bit of the wall and then you run into that bit, rather than all of it at the same time. And then they found a layer of charcoal and burnt material. A strong layer of burnt material around the entire city, which shows that the entire city had been burnt. And what else did they find? They found artifacts that would normally have been taken by conquering people, but were left to burn instead. So things like grain, food, all things Israel would have wanted, but was left there on purpose. So we have the fact that the walls fell down, evidence for that. We have the fact that the Israelites burnt the city down, and we have the fact that they left all the things in there as a sacrifice. Evidence for all of those. Right there, you can go have a look at it, you can go play around in the dirt, they let you do that. And you can go have that proof for yourself. Okay, so basically matching up almost 100% between the biblical account and the historical and archaeological record. Okay, really, really reliable. Okay, and this is just one example of thousands of places you can go to in Israel and go and look and find the things that were mentioned in the Bible in the right place, in the way that you would expect them, and stuff like that. Okay. So a creator God most likely exists. Jesus did exist, and large parts of the biblical story have been proven to be true. We have enough evidence to say that we believe that God exists, not because we're silly, foolish, dumb, or anything like that, but because we have looked at the evidence, and God is the best explanation for that evidence. But some people don't believe. Maybe they're your friends at school or work. Are they dumb for not believing? No, they're not. Okay? We don't have undeniable proof that God exists, and maybe they haven't heard the evidence that supports God's existence. We can help them with the evidence that exists, but why don't we have undeniable proof? Wouldn't that be easier? Wouldn't that be convenient? Why doesn't God just show up right here, as this spaghetti monster looking thing or something like that, and just show us that he's real? Any guesses, Oren?
He wants us to choose.
Oh, did you read my sermon beforehand? Goodness me. He wants us to choose him. Oh, why am I even doing this sermon? You guys don't even know this stuff. Come on. Okay. That's what I think anyway. I think that even though God could show up right now and give us undeniable evidence, he doesn't, because it's less important that we believe in God than it is that we choose him. In the Bible, God never forces anyone to join him. He's always asking. He asks Moses. Jesus asks the disciples. Jesus asks us. We have enough evidence to believe if we want to, and lack just enough to choose not to. God wants to be chosen, not just believed in. That's what I think anyway. So how can we help our kids stay in faith, stay in church, as they're going to be growing up in a world that doesn't believe these things, that maybe hasn't heard this evidence, or has heard it and chooses not to believe in it? How can we help them? Step number one, I think it's really important that we know some evidence. We don't need to know all of it, just a little bit, so that if someone says, why do you believe in God? We don't just say, faith. Because faith, we understand faith, but people outside of our context, faith just sounds like wishful thinking, yeah? We know it's not wishful thinking. We know that we have some evidence behind it, we have experiences, we have lived experience that support that faith, but they won't necessarily get that part of the picture. So it's important to know a little bit of evidence that we can provide them with. Step number two is educate yourself and your children. Evidence can't help you if we don't know about it. I can recommend Language of God by Francis Collins if you want to learn more about the fine-tuning of the universe. Shout out to Chris for suggesting that book. And the scientific evidence. He's a genetic scientist who did the Human Genome Project, and he's written a book about all the scientific evidence for God. And if you want to learn more about the archaeological evidence for the Bible stories, do check out Expedition Bible on YouTube. That's suitable for kids to watch. It's really high quality. You see them stomping around all these sites, pointing out the different things that match up with the biblical stories. And there's plenty of other resources that are out there. Step number three, don't be afraid to say, I don't know. You don't need to have all the answers. Encourage your kids to find them. If your kids don't understand something hard or confusing, don't feel the need to say, you just need to have faith. God is comfortable with their questions, okay? Step number four, this is a really important one. Be intellectually credible. What does that mean? It means don't believe in things that have poor or no evidence, okay? It's mainly talking about your conspiracy theories here. Okay? It makes you a bad witness. Why should others believe your claims about God being real if you believe in things that are proven to be false? Yeah? If I go down to the street saying, God is real and the earth is flat, who's going to listen to me? No one. Okay? Jared's going to listen. Jared, don't listen to me if I say the earth is flat, okay? If we have, don't say things that are known to be false with the same tongue that says that God is real, okay? It just doesn't work out. Where's the time? Okay, we've got a little bit of time, so let's do some question time. Throw me a random question.
What is the earth like?
What is the earth like? You're here, my dude. Like, I have to tell you. What's heaven like? Ask me later. Give me 80 years. I'll probably know by then. Yeah. I don't know. We don't have 100% idea. There's some good movies about what it could be like. What would you like it to be like?
Gold.
Gold? Gold's kind of like heavy and impractical and scratches it.
Floating on clouds.
Lots of fun stuff?
Floating on clouds.
Floating clouds? Okay. Quite possibly all things that could be, yeah?
Fiji.
You like it to be Fiji? Okay, well, there's a place on Earth. Let's go. So, yeah. Any questions related to what we've covered today? Do you want to go with the... Cotton candy, yeah? Can you eat in heaven? That's a really good question. Why? I don't know if we need to eat.
How would you feel?
How would you... I don't know.
Would you have a stomach?
I don't know if you'd have a stomach. Some of the biblical, authors, right, there will be like spirits up there, so it's a bit hard to tell if we'll have tummies. I don't know if spirits have tummies. Will I see other people? I think, there could be other people up there.
See God.
Is God there? Yeah, God better be there, otherwise I'm complaining. Imagine. Yeah, we've got a question in the back.
God created the Big Bang, and couldn't he have just made the planets in the first place instead of the Big Bang?
That's the great question. Why does everything seem to be built as if it has a purpose, follows rules? You guys are...
I think he's trying to make us understand better.
Because God loves us.
Does anyone know the Bible verse that says, all I do is... ...
It's helping you.
All I do is...
This is the Fraser translation, so I might be a little bit off.
Everything I do is for the Lord.
No, so something like that. So it says, God says, everything I do is for Everything is for the glory of God and for His children or something like that.
Fraser.
So if it's not for His children, guess what it might be for? The glory of God. God is showing us a bit about who He is by creating a beautifully complex world for us to live in. Not just something simple that just goes, and it's like that. Yeah? It's like think of it like an enormous piece of clockwork. Everything is working just the right way to make the little hand go around on the outside. It's beautifully complex. Yeah? Well, last question.
In heaven, what would be, how old will we be?
How old will we be? Well, we're going to be there for a really, 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 really long time, so it depends when you're asking. At the end, we'll be like infinitely years old. Yeah? Okay. So, those are some good questions. I don't know if I gave any good answers, but we'll go from there. Okay, so next week, we'll look at some of the emotional barriers to faith and try to answer the question, is God good? Okay? Nice and simple, even though that's actually quite a big question. I make it sound simple, which is like a one-line question, but obviously that's a question that people have fought wars over. So, God bless you all. I will invite Paulina up, and I just want to take the opportunity to encourage us all to pray for those people who are encountering those barriers, are encountering barriers of rationality and stuff like that are telling them, I shouldn't believe in God because there's no evidence. Because we know that that's not true. Let us pray with Paulina.
Thank you, Fraser. Hey, give it up for Fraser. You're doing well. And as for the kids saying that wasn't boring, was it, being in church? Yeah, lovely. Now, I'd just like to invite the band back up because I think it'd be really nice to just kind of quieten back into that God's presence. God's been here all this time. And I would really encourage anybody, whether it's anything that Fraser has said, or you've come with a burden, or there's something that's come up during our worship or during conversations this morning, please don't leave with your burdens. Either come forward, there'll be a few of us available to receive prayer, and we'll cut the Facebook Live off at that point. So don't miss out, or just tap the person next to you, or go to somebody that you trust and ask them to pray, or offer prayer to the person next to you. We don't, we're a vineyard church where everybody gets to play and everybody gets to pray, and it includes the children. Pray for each other, ask someone for prayer. Feel free to involve your parents, please. If anybody does go pray for your child, as a parent, we invite you to come and join them to make sure everyone's happy and feels safe. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Moz. So let's worship Him. Do get up on your feet and let's worship Him again.